Why do you think people read, or maybe I should say still read reviews? Back in like the 19th century, people came to blows over performances and interpretations and things like that. And do you think it's part of your job to educate people in a review about historical stuff and help audiences find their way into new works?
For new works, definitely. Oh yeah, that's really important, and that's something that I do a lot with now. I'm very interested in new opera. I like to write about new opera, so I really feel very strongly about the expansion of the canon, and just doing the same the same 25 operas for the rest of our lives is just ridiculous. So certainly writing about context, giving a sense of what where a particular composer and librettist, because I write about operas, so where they've come from, how they've progressed in this particular work, why this particular work is important, why this particular work is of interest, and how it kind of stacks up. And here's the hardest thing: what it sounds like, because when you're writing about a new work, you can't sort of assume that your audience, well, they know what Strauss sounds like, they know what Beethoven's supposed to sound like. Well, they don't necessarily know what Missy Mazzoli sounds like, though, of course, now people do more. And you can't be overly technical, because you can't necessarily expect that your audience is going to understand those technical terms. So you can't write like a musicologist, and I'm not one anyway, so I couldn't. So I'm trying to, as Zoe said, trying to tell somebody what it sounded like, why it was exciting, and why they don't want to miss it the next time it comes around.
Yeah, I mean, I view, I mean, with the different kinds of things we review have sort of their own different like niche, and new work obviously has its own, what your job with new work is slightly different than what it is with the Philharmonic playing a Brahms symphony. And I mean, but even with new work, I mean, I view it a lot as people don't necessarily realize that different performances of Beethoven's Fifth or La Boheme are different. I think that outside of a very small amount of people, there's like a thought, I think, or just an assumption that you go to La Boheme and it is La Boheme, or Beethoven's Fifth is Beethoven's Fifth. And so I view a lot of what I do, any of the kind of historical facts or the description, as designed to kind of get empowering people, in the sense that there is a spectrum of technical and therefore intellectual, psychological, emotional way, like kind of sort of shades of any of these, of any work, and that a composer exists again in a continuum of music history. And so you're kind of just trying to get people a sense that this performance was one performance of many, and so that they could also kind of feel like their judgment on something has validity, or it could be powerful as well, to kind of just give a sense of that the reason that this conductor did this Brahms concerto really quickly was coming from a particular take, or like an interpretation or an idea about that work.
AZ, why do your friends read your reviews other than the fact that you've written them?
Well, so I don't know which of my friends actually do read my reviews, but I think I think that one reason is because people are looking for that kind of unique experience. People want to, I feel like, especially people of my generation, they value experiences more than they value possessions. And just people are looking for things that they can't replicate, and I try to do it justice. And especially when talking about new works, I'm kind of willing to cut new works or newer, younger companies a little bit more slack when I write, just because I know that there's such an element of experimentalism to it.